This is the 2018 Mercedes AMG SL63. For more than 60 years, this has been the very expensive roadster that everybody aspires to own, especially the hot AMG variants. Indeed, it has long sat atop the heap of Mercedes roadsters, but with the launch of the S-Class Cabriolet, especially the AMG stablemate, the S63, and the drop-dead gorgeous AMG GT series, the pecking order is no longer crystal clear. But to be honest, I care about that narrative approximately 0%. It's still massively powerful, needlessly fast and comfortable, so today, I'm taking it for a drive. Now, the standard SL is not exactly slow, but if you got the need for speed, then this SL63 is the vehicle for you. It's powered by a 5.5-liter twin turbocharged V8, 577 horsepower, 664 foot-pounds of torque. Oh yeah, that's a lot of power. This is a rocket ship, 0 to 100K in 4 seconds dead. And of course, this engine's built by one person. It's the one-man, one-engine rule, or should we call it one technician, one engine rule. Basically, that means we've got lots of hand-built goodness as one person has overseen the construction of this power plant. You're putting that power down through the rear wheels only, and while they're big tires for a normal car, 285 section rears, you could probably do with another inch or so of soft rubber to really help with the cause. Now that power is being channeled through the only transmission available, which is a 7-speed MCT in normal duty around town and automatic. It's okay, a little herky-jerky, but when you put it into Sport Plus and you take control of these paddles to your left and to your right behind the steering wheel, it's crisp and sharp and downshifts with a nice exhaust overrun note, and it'll blip the throttle, and I think shifts are about 100 milliseconds. I can't really quantify that, but all I can say is they're fast shifts. The one thing I absolutely love about AMG engines is this. Let me demonstrate. Foot to the floor. Woo! Oh, baby! Tough to beat that. You know, I just got out of a CTSV and that was an absolute beast of an engine, but it didn't sound like this. That engine was all about supercharged whine, which has its own sort of character and quality. But this sounds like just the gates of hell have opened up and they're firing you forward with enough speed to alter the spin of planet Earth. Now you'll notice, finally I've got a convertible to review, and finally the weather is just amazing. So I've got the top down. Now excuse me once again while I demonstrate. Oh, that cannot be beat, but we want to make it to the end of this review without me losing my license, so I'm just going to put it into comfort mode. So you'll notice that I do have the top down, at least for the time being, because it's threatening skies where I am headed right now. And what's cool about this SL is it's a hardtop, and when you put this thing up, and it does so all automatically in about 20 seconds, it's super quiet and composed. And it doesn't sound like a convertible. You just feel like you're in a sporty coupe, which is amazing. And I think that really is what positions this uniquely in the Mercedes-Benz range. So here's the thing about this. We now have the S-Class Cabriolet, which is bigger and has more advanced tech. It's the newer of the two vehicles. We also have the AMG GT and GTC and GTR and all that good stuff, which would be similar in size, similar performance, but that has greater capacity for track use and so on. So this fits really nicely in between. It's no longer the automatic flagship in the range, but I think it fills a nice little niche. If you want top-down cruising on the weekend, but you got to commute to work and you just want to deal with the peace and quiet of a high-end Mercedes-Benz coupe, then you've got it. And that is the real benefit of this hardtop. This is a grand touring car, so it does need to have some degree of practicality, and I was really pleasantly surprised to find the amount of storage in the back trunk and behind these seats as we have here in the SL. So you can definitely get a set of golf clubs and a few duffel bags in the back when you have the hardtop up. When you have that hardtop down, obviously it takes up probably half of the available cargo capacity back there, but even then, more than enough room for a few soft bags or a carry-on luggage, in my case, a bunch of camera gear and some Tim Hortons wrappers. But yeah, you can even fit some stuff behind these seats. Now I'm back pretty far because I'm a tall driver, but there's still, I don't know, I want to call it maybe 5 inches of space. You could, if you were sort of maybe a little bit shorter with your seats moved up a little bit, you could probably cram a sleek compact golf bag back there. I keep using that as an example, but something makes me feel like whoever is buying this car is probably going to go golfing quite a bit. I mentioned that this is not the newest platform in the Mercedes stable. Of course, you've got the new CLS and the S-Class and the GTs, and all those are newer platforms, and they carry that high-end tech. So we're a little bit last gen here, and you can kind of tell when you get in this cabin. Two things to say about that. The first is, this is still a really nice place to be. This is just wonderfully stitched with high-end leather everywhere you look. Where there isn't leather, there's carbon fiber. It just looks really good and everything feels nice in your hand. So I'm not complaining about this place necessarily, but it does bring me to my second point, which is when you look down here in the gauge cluster in the center console area, it looks like it was designed 5 or 6 years ago. All the buttons are sort of last generation Mercedes-Benz. It has the older infotainment system. So that doesn't have that sort of high-end look that you're going to get in the new S Cabriolet. So if you're really driven by that and you want perhaps a slightly cushier ride, then go for that one. That said, however, this still is a car that has a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things going on here. I mean, just take, for example, these seats. So they've got 1,000,001 adjustments, but if you feel like you're getting a little hot, you can just press a button down here and you've got multi-stage ventilation on it. Feel like you're getting a little cold? Well, just press this button over here and you've got an air scarf that's going to blow hot air over your neck. So that would be very helpful if you live in Canada. You just want to lengthen that convertible season. Of course, we've got massaging seats. Of course we do, because this is a high-end Mercedes. Also, feel like maybe it's getting a little bit windy, or you got your wife in the seat beside you and you want to make sure her hair doesn't get destroyed. Well, you just press this little button on the center console and up pops that windscreen. Now I'm just going to put it down because I think it looks cooler. You want to change the driving character of this vehicle? Well, that's easy. You just cycle through your drive mode selector down here on the transmission tunnel. You've got Comfort Sport, Sport Plus, and Individual mode, which will let you decouple settings from one another. And an AMG exclusive, we've got Race mode. So Race mode is going to give you access to a couple of things like launch control, and it'll allow you to pull all the nannies off, so it's just you, $190,000 car, and hopefully not the ditch. A couple more buttons down here. Of course, you can turn your traction control off in any mode that you're in. And we also have a little button for the damper control. So unlike some more modern vehicles with dynamic dampers where there's 4, 5, sometimes more different settings for the dampers, here we just have 2. So it's a 2-stage damper setting. It's either normal or sport. And you do notice a difference, but if I'm being honest, not that much. It's pretty marginal, nowhere near some of the new sort of Magna-Ride dampers you'll find in something like a Mustang or a Cadillac CTS-V. Those vehicles have a much wider range of capability and sort of feedback to the cabin. The sensation of speed in this thing is really remarkable. I mean, we're in 3rd gear right now, roll on the throttle, and I can see I can see the traction control light going on and off, on and off. I'm in Sport Plus, so it's dialed that back and give you a little bit of movement in the rear, but this is a lot of horsepower to ask the rear tires to manage. They're only 285 sections for this much horsepower. When it does hook up though, it propels you forward at an unreal pace. It puts you back in your seat. And what makes that so intense is the fact that we're in a convertible. You smell the forest around us right now. You hear everything, and as you start to hit some high speeds, the wind is buffeting around. But even though you do have that real sense of speed from the open top, it feels very controlled. It hugs the road. I feel low slung. I feel really sure-footed. It's a big vehicle. It's heavy. It just feels rock solid, even at really high speeds. That's exactly what you expect a big Grand Touring car like this to be. Really fast, really smooth, a little bit of practicality, enough for the weekend anyways, tons of performance, and just tons of class and sophistication. The elephant in the room is certainly the styling of this SL63. It just looks a little bit disjointed. A lot of people have a lot to say about this. I'll make it quick. I feel like the front doesn't know what the back's doing and the back doesn't know what the side's doing. There are cool elements of this car, especially in AMG trim. It's got a presence, absolutely no doubt about that. But it's not beautiful, and I hope that with the next generation of SL, Mercedes gets back to what I feel this car should be, which is a big, brawny, capable Grand Touring convertible that is beautiful, that has a sort of quality to the exterior styling rather than just a collection of aggressive bits and pieces that doesn't come together in a particularly cohesive way. So how does this big SL feel in the corners? Well, surprisingly good. This vehicle stays really flat, and I shall demonstrate to you right now. Just drop it down a couple of gears, that automatic transmission working really well. Throw it in a little bit understeer there, but I was putting it through pretty hard. But the rear end does rotate when you get on the throttle, which is another quality of rear-wheel drive. So we'll do this again. Quick left corner, nice and flat. I have to say, nice and flat when you've got the dampers in Sport Plus. Tip it in, a little bit of understeer. You just start to feel the front wheels just scrub a little bit if you overdo it. You can always just correct that with a little bit of throttle, assuming you have the driving aids turned down. And for a big car, again, I'll emphasize 4,100 pounds of heft to lug around. It stays very flat through the corners. These dampers do a great job of that. And again, I keep coming back to this. Just throw it back into comfort mode. Everything calms down, and it's that wonderful dual purpose that you'd expect from a Grand Touring car, that you'd expect from an SL, and that you'd expect to see in a neighborhood like this. Holy, where have we ended up here? This is a beautiful place, and of course, a car of this price, this capability, this reputation, it fits right in here. Tip it in. Reasonable steering feel, nothing to write home about. Throttle pulls you out, and it sounds so amazing. Yeah, I'll take one, please. I'll take one of these. Maybe in a different color, but I'll take one. Well, you're sitting down because it's time to talk about money. This SL63 starts at $166,000. And of course, Mercedes didn't give me a base model. They've given me one that's gussied up with tons of expensive options. $2,000 red AMG Napa leather. We've got a $9,000 AMG performance pack. It does a couple of things, namely raise your top speed. I just thought that was a little silly here in the Canadian marketplace where you're never going to have an opportunity to do that. But nonetheless, it will be bragging rights around your favorite watering hole. We've also got intelligent drive. That's some semi-autonomous driving features. You know it, you love it. It's on every other Mercedes-Benz. A few other things brings the total of this car pre-tax to $186,000. $186,000. That's easily over 2 bills once you factor in your taxes in the province of Ontario. You've got a decision to make. Do you want a sizable down payment on a house in the GTA, or do you want an SL63? That decision is harder for some than it is for others, but as I always like to say, you can sleep in a car, but you can't drive a house. My money's on the SL63. When you hit this upper strata of car buying power, there really are no bad options. The Audi R8, the Jaguar F-Type SVR, and Ferrari California T all offer similar performance for ballpark money. But none of those will give you the comfort, the luxury, the everyday livability of this SL63. Yes, it's not as gorgeous as any of those options, but what it lacks in a balanced silhouette, it certainly makes up for in mean swoops and curves and gratuitous carbon fiber. The SL has always been about delivering the very best, and as we've become accustomed to, AMG has delivered yet again.